Hello everybody, my name is Diego Sanchez and my partner is Ramos. We are students from English Grammar 2 of the Teachers course of Comawa University. On this video, we will talk about small clauses with perception verbs. This video is produced to show students from ILE what small clauses with perception verbs are and how they are used. In addition, another crucial point to take into account is that our corpus is based on the famous book Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. From this literary source, we will analyze small clauses with several perception verbs.
First of all, small clauses are non-finite clauses. In other words, they have no information about features, person, number, and tense. And they have three principal characteristics that we will explain in the following examples. Secondly, another important point to mention is that perception verbs are those related to human senses such as see, hear, and watch. All of them select small clauses, but there are other verbs, for instance, taste, smell, and touch, that don't select small clauses.
Example 1. He didn't see the owl swooping past in broad daylight. In this sentence, the perception verb is see, that selects the small clause the owl swooping past in broad daylight as the direct object. It answered the question what and who is affected by the action denoted by the verb. Within the small clause, we identify the subject, which is the owls, that must be explicit. It means that it has to be present. Then we determine the verb that is, in this case, in ing, which is one of the main characteristics of small clauses with perception verb.
Example 2. Harry saw a purple wax seal bearing a coat of arms, a lion, an eagle, a badger, and a snake, surrounding a large letter H. This small clause is identical to the previous one. The verb saw is the past form of see, and saw points the small clause, a purple wax seal bearing a coat of arms. In the small clause, the explicit subject is a purple wax seal, that it can be replaced by the accusative case it. Moreover, the verb is bearing, that is in the ing form.
Example 3. Harry, who could see a huge Dudley tantrum coming on, began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible in case Dudley turned the table over. In this example, again the verb see selects the small clause, a huge Dudley tantrum coming on, as the direct object. The subject is a huge Dudley tantrum. It means that it is explicit and it is in the accusative form, because it can be replaced by the pronoun it. Then the verb is coming, that is in the ing form.
Example 4. Harry heard one of them say. In this case, there is a different perception verb, that is heard, which selects the small clause one of them say as the direct object. The explicit accusative subject is one of them, and the verb is say, which is in the verb infinitive, that is another feature of small clauses with perception verbs.
Example 5. Harry watched the goblin on the right weighing a pile of rubies as big as glowing coals. In this instance, the perception verb is watched, that selects the small clause the goblin on the right weighing a pile of rubies as big as glowing coals. The small clause functions as the direct object of the verb watched. There is an explicit accusative subject, which is the goblin on the right, and the verb is weighing, that is in the ing form.
Example 6. Harry heard something creak outside. In this example, the verb heard is the one that selects the small clause something creak outside. The small clause functions as the direct object of the main verb heard. Within the small clause, the explicit accusative subject is something, and the verb is creak, which is in the verb infinitive form.
Example 7. I saw Dumbledore leave it. In this case, the perception verb of the sentence is saw, that selects the small clause Dumbledore leave it. The explicit subject of the small clause is Dumbledore, that is in the accusative form and can be replaced by the pronoun him. Moreover, the verb is leave, which has the same form, bare infinitive, as the previous example.
Example 8. Harry saw a curly pig's tail poking through a hole in his trousers. In this case, the perception verb is saw, as in most of the examples. It selects the small clause a curly pig's tail poking through a hole in his trousers. Within the small clause, the subject is explicit and in the accusative form, a curly pig's tail, and the verb is in the ing form, poking.
Example 9. Harry watched a large crowd of tourists come swarming in front of him. In this example, the verb watched selects the small clause a large crowd of tourists come swarming in front of him. In the small clause, the explicit accusative subject is a large crowd of tourists, which is in the accusative form because it can be replaced by the pronoun them, and the verb is in the bare infinitive, come.
Example 10. He heard the old woman sigh. The perception verb heard takes the small clause the old woman sigh. In the small clause, the explicit accusative subject is the old woman, and the verb is in the bare infinitive, which is sigh.
As regard connections, at first our corpus was going to be based on our own written productions for Nearly, but after a deep search we got to the conclusion that we didn't use that type of clauses. That is the reason why our objective is ILE students. We consider that this structure will give students more possibilities and varieties when writing any type of text.
Reflection. We appreciate this type of assignments because they force us to apply our knowledge in other way. The idea of having in mind that we will focus on ILE students moves us from the student's position to the teacher's position, at least for a moment, and this makes us feel closer to our personal goal.